Well, hello. Hi, Val. Let me know if you can hear me. I think the video is fine. Hi, Lana. Clear and loud. Good. Just grabbing my water bottle. All right. So I have a drawing here that didn't turn out amazing, but it's still what I'm gonna paint today. Hey, Amy, hi. Hello, hello. Sorry about that. Hey, hi, a watercolorist. Salut. I'll be quiet today and in the background. Okay, that's good. Are you painting as well? Right. I always use one of these to remove the eraser bits and throw the eraser bits straight in the garbage. Hey, Lyra, hi. No, I'm recovering from a cold. Oh, I'm so sorry you had a cold. Glad that you're feeling better, but yeah. It's never enjoyable. And I also have this handy, and this, because I'm gonna be remaking this swatch since I've moved all of these colors around. So I thought that, you know, since painting, sorry, the way I like to paint, there's always a bit of a downtime to let things dry. So I thought that I would do the first pass on this drawing. And then as that dries, I'm gonna work on the swatch. And then hopefully by the time I'm done with the swatch, I'll be able to continue on my drawing. I do paint along as usual. Really hope it will turn out. I hope you'll have better luck than me. I had to improvise a bit this week because the video I wanted to do didn't really pan out. I tried making the demo drawing for it twice, and both times I'm not happy with the drawing. I don't really want to use it for my video, so I had to switch to plan B. This is one of those drawings. I'm still gonna paint it because it's gonna be painting practice, so it's not lost, but it's still annoying. I'm practicing hand and feet anatomy at the moment. They are really hard to draw, especially if you want to do it like realistic. It's even harder. I love this dropper bottle, but sometimes it's a bit too eager to drop water everywhere. Like, I want one drop per pan, and it was like, we have all the drops in all the pans. Woohoo! Freedom! Ooh, freedom! Almost. Yeah, did it. Right. Otto! Hey! I get sick very often, so it's no fun. So yeah. Ugh. Well, I am mostly happy with what I shared so far, but this one is pretty complex for me, though still in my style. I'm eager to see. I'm looking at my brushes. Oh, and I need a mixing surface for these. Jesus, you made me jump. I've got headphones in. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I saw. I exclaimed loudly. Always happy to see you. There we go. That's perfect. Excelente. How did I manage to put paint on my finger? Okay. Paulo! Hey! How is everyone? I'm doing okay. How are you guys? Hands and feet are a pain to learn, but for some reason forearm anatomy trumped me the most. Yeah, it's a bit peculiar. Have like 3 different palettes open, 5 different That's good. Just practicing negative painting in my sketchbook. Ooh. I feel like negative painting is a really good exercise in patience. Today I was able to join the stream and I'm happy. Yeah, we're happy to have you, Paulo. I should probably keep my swatch card handy, even if all the pans are in a different location. I'm using the A.GALLO paints. Wow, that's weird. I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but I put a drop of water in the pans, and I'm gonna try to do a manual close-up. But look at this one; it got all wrinkly and weird. That one is chromite. It's really funky. I keep putting my fingers in the pans. Drying layers is a pain. So this... tell me about it. You don't want to use the blow dryer because it doesn't do that great of a job, in my opinion. And it's also super noisy. So you kind of have to let stuff dry. Sorry. On its, on its own, but it takes a lot of time. Prue! Hey! Hello! Okay, so first thing I like to do usually is wet this. Gonna do that really roughly. Wet it. Chunky brush. That's way too much water, but I'll find a way to remove the excess. After spreading it all over, yeah, there's a legit puddle in there. Paper towels. All right, close enough. It's going to be challenging to paint right away. Sorry. Without a swatch that has the paints in the proper location. Sorry, that was a lot of thoughts going on all at once. Oh, another one became all wrinkly and weird. It looks like, when you spend too much time in your bath and then you come out and you're all like, well, wrinkly and weird. That's pretty much the best descriptive I can think of. Yeah, blow dryers are no good. Scares. Yeah, same. And they're sleeping so peacefully. You have to be kind of a particularly... Oh, that's not the color I wanted. Not evil person, because I don't think that's it, but you have to be a bit oblivious to... That's the one I want. Does A.GALLO have a... not that I don't notice it at all. It's to a point that when people mention that there's... Like, I forget that it's supposed to have a scent of any kind. Like, I get nothing. Banners are maybe moving into a good constellation. Oh my god, I had a killer spicy fu soup for dinner, and all I want is another bowl of it. Did you make it yourself, or did you order it in? Wow, it's really faint, if anything. Or perhaps it's just the colors I have and the batch of paints that I have, but like if you sniff it from really close and the paints are wet, I'm sort of able to pick up a really faint scent. No, it was a delivery. Ah, dang it. My paper is drying so fast. Wow. Okay, good to know, because I can handle strong smells, and that and the price was hindering. Yeah, it's expensive. Like you don't really need these paints. Like you don't need any kind of paints, but yeah, but either way, I should not have another bowl of it. I mean, you could do a whole lot worse than that. I mean, unless you tell me that it's full of deep fried stuff and whatnot, like Vietnamese soup are usually what, some sort of noodle and then broth and veggies and meat. Love beef pho. A lot of Vietnamese here sell them. The first green and the warm yellow look like they'd make a green that would be extremely... Hey, Sylvis! Hi! Decided to work on ash with this one, but 9 by 12. It is big. You can cut it in half. It's always an option. What's the color I'm looking for? I have to let this sit on the side. The thin rice noodles are very yummy. The broth is not fatty either. Just thinking about food makes me hungry. I really like a good tom yum soup. There you go. I'm thinking, hold on. I thought about cutting it, but the central point is a huge well, so now I'm working on overcoming my fear. It's fine, it's fine. You've been doing a lot of good growth in a very short amount of time. Oh, that was not a pleasant little creepy sound. Hi Paolo, just got a Tony port for Yule and thought of you. I'm thinking of buying Mary's Masters watercolors as possibly my first artist grade paints. Pretty cool. There are white ports. I know nothing. Yeah, same. Well, I mean, what I know about it is not good. So I like Crema de Christi. Dang, they went a bit hardcore with the name right there. Oh my gosh. The name is very Portugal. That's a very good point. think it was used by priests in the communion in the old days. Wow, they had budget. Burnt figs with port and vanilla cream. I keep putting back my pencil, but I I need it. I still need it. So I have to split this up, what, 6 and then 8. Okay, let's go really extreme into this. So that's 5.5. So I don't like that. I don't like how big the lines are on a cutting mat. It's not very precise. Which is really odd because they say it is the blood of Christ. Well, not that one. Oh, by the way, I wonder if anyone has tried bahong. Yeah, I think a lot of people have tried bahong and it's really nice. It's really, really nice. Good paper. Jinx! Hello! Oh, I was so happy when you told me that she traveled well. Poor baby. She's gotten so good with being in a car. Oh, I can imagine. Never had it. And oh, 300 gram and 100% cotton. Ooh, she did so well. Yeah, she. That's the second time in a row, right? That she does so good, like getting to your place. I don't know how she does going back to her home. And she just said, "Oh, maybe she knows. Maybe she's figured out by now that, you know." Yep, second time. She's doing so good. Maybe she's sorry, maybe she's more aware now that the occasional times she goes in the car, it's usually to get to your place, which seems to be her favorite place to be. Cats are relatively decent at making good associations. I'm being very extra right now. I know, yeah, she likes it here. Definitely, I mean, it's like our vacation place. our holiday resort at Sheoto. I love you being extra, be extra. Do you guys have any inkling of what I'm trying to do? Why this does not feel right. There's something that does not feel right here. Why is this not right? Like, I'm here being extra and I don't know. Okay, that should. Throws glitter in the air. Puffs glitter for 6 months. You're gonna find glitter in your underpants for like forever. What did they call it? Glitter is the her piece of the craft world. Some animals are so robust with changing species. Francesca is the same. She bounces back so fast compared to other runners and cats I've known. Well, I think Jinx is a bit special too. Like, at first she really had perhaps a bit of a harder time, but like, if something is good for the animal, I think they tend to associate stuff together really quickly. Like, oh, I really like going to that place, so I'm gonna associate getting in the car to going to that place, you know. I have no idea what you're up to. Ha ha ha, mystery. Mystery. I hope it works. I mean, if I don't remember correctly about this thing, and I'm here bothering with this stuff, and it doesn't pan out, I'm gonna look like a dweeb. Melissa! Hi! Hippopotamus Bosch. Hey, hello. If you come home covered in glitter, just tell your wife I was at the craft supply shop. Though you better have something to show for it. If you just say I was at the craft supply shop and you bring nothing home, you might have to sleep on the couch. Salty little sloth. Hey, hello, hello. Doop doop boop boo. I'm almost done. Hopefully it works out. No, still no one has a clue what I'm trying to do. Where did that glitter come from? Are you going to do some sort of fancy primary color mixing on that? Not even that clever. It's just a way to split something into thirds. And since my measurements were a bit weird, it wasn't easy math to just split like the measurements in thirds. So I went the long ass route of this. Holy shit, that's good. How do you know how to do that? I saw it in a book about the perspective. It's really handy, like this is flat, but when you want to draw something in perspective and you need to split it in thirds, being able to work from like the corners of an area and then like being able to work this out by using your vanishing points, a ruler, and the lines that are already there, it's a handy trick to find the thirds. And I won't have to do that for the other way around, I hope, because I have to split this measurement 6 inches in 8. That one is manageable. But the other one was a bit too tricky. Yeah, that works on balls for perspective and cubes. Yeah. If you have your vanishing points and the ruler, you can sort of figure this out. It looks too complicated for my old brain. It's pretty simple. It only looks complicated because I just did it and didn't explain, and there's a bunch of lines, but it doesn't require you to measure anything. You just need to follow the steps with the ruler and you'll get to it. I can explain it if you guys would like to know. Now that we've seen that I I successfully managed to do the thing. So, time to make sure that this is right. 8, 6. Yeah, I'm good. Geometry! Deal with it! It's a lot more simpler than using a ruler and what? I mean, not the ruler with the measurement, it's just a ruler so you can draw straight lines. You could use a piece of anything that has a straight edge. Hey, Sandra! Hello, hello! Okay, now I need... Calculating the division. I don't know why. I'm a visual person, so having this trick with just a bunch of lines to figure it out really works for me. Ballpoint pen ASMR. Oh, I don't like ASMR. It's just weird. That's how I make my swatch sheets. So what did I miss? I'm a little late to the stream. Oh, no worries. I did the first pass of color on a painting, and as I'm waiting for that to dry out a bit, I'm working on redoing this the swatch for this set. This was my previous swatch for this set, but I've reorganized the colors around because I was kind of bothered that they were just random on there. So I'm redoing that. And hopefully by the time that I'm done with that, it's gonna be dry and I'll be able to go back to my painting. So much whispering. It's not the kind of background noise that works for me. The kind of background works that noise for me. The kind of background noise that works for me is like people talking, especially if they're talking about like stupid stuff. I don't have misophonia, but ugh, like people whispering or clickety-clacking things. I'm just like, nah, nah, nah. Nope. No, I'm good. I'm good. I think people eating is the worst. Ugh. No, thank you. Alright, so I'm done with that. Ta-da! I can explain quickly the thing if you want. It's really simple. I can use this post-it to do it. So basically, any area that you have, regardless really of its shape, I think, but anything that is like an even shape is going to be a bit easier to manage. But what you do is you trace a line from one corner to the other, and you do it the other way around. So that's the start. Then you kind of, this is the center point of this shape. So what you want to do is, oh, that's not too unevenly. So what you want to do is do a line that is completely like perpendicular to this side, that goes by the middle, that will effectively split this in two. And what I'm going to do to cheat is I'm going to fold it. But yeah, what I did for my swatch is I measured the half so that I could trace it perfectly center. So now you have these three lines. So to get the thirds, what you do is you start from one end of the middle line and you go into the opposite corner, like this. You do the same thing with the other side. Kind of make a, you know, kind of an arrow shape. And then this and this is your thirds. So what you want to do is draw a line that goes by that spot. Oops. Anyway, so you have 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. That's it. Like, I couldn't explain why it works, but it works. I think I saw that when I was looking at the, you know, rule of thirds thing for the video that I did. And for the rule of thirds, I don't really mind, like, just going approximatively, because it's you don't need the precise location of the thirds. But for a chart, I feel it's annoying if the, you know, the sections are not even. Hey Galgos, hi, hello, hello, welcome. It's nice to see you in the streams. I hate the sound of food munching, so I don't get mukbang. Yeah, me neither. From Berlin, hello. A lot more simple than measuring and doing maths. Yeah, it's, I mean, doing math is going to be easy if it's a number that is super easy to divide in the sections that you need. Like, let's say you need something split in 6 segments and it's 6 inches. Easy peasy, super easy to do. But in this case, I had a really odd measurement. So instead of trying to figure it out in my brain and split, sometimes I will use like centimeters or millimeters, and that might be closer to a number that is easily divisible into what I need. But yeah. In mechanical engineering and construction, the diagonals are also used to find the middle for planes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I did originally. Like, you find your middle here. And yeah, it works in perspective, as long as you have your vanishing points to reference. Hey, Laura! Afternoon, Quack Crew. Afternoon to you as well. I'm doing a swatch for a paint set that needs a new swatch. So I'm sorting that out. And I also have a painting on the side that is currently drying, since I usually work by making a first pass of colors wet and wet, and they mingle and they dry, and then I paint over that. But I have to use I have to wait for the paint to dry a bit before I can, you know, add more on top. So in the meantime, swatch time. I don't like math, so I use that every single time. It's a bit more time consuming, but it's also kind of precise. Okay, I have a question for you guys. What is the most important element of a swatch card? I ordered more paints today after telling myself I needed no more. I discovered eBay and well, oh well. What did you find? You cannot just say that you got more paints and not share with us what kind of paints you got. You can't do that. That's not very nice. For me, it's color name, but I know you have super memory for what color is where. It's not the name, it's not the pigment information. Although I feel like you would know. You could possibly figure it out. For me, it's name and pigment info, making a gradient of each color. All important factors, but not the key element. You're gonna throw rocks at me once I reveal it. For me, it's location of paint need in the palette, pigment info, opacity, proper paper. Nope. Pigment number order. Nope. You gotta think more stupid, more silly. Not mixing the color. Very important, but not what I have in mind. Rocks at the ready. Gathering my best rocks. I'm gonna be stoned. Oh no. Oh no. Well, I'm just gonna take care of this and then I'm gonna reveal it. And the answer is da da da. You gotta round the corners of your chart. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Oh no! Oh no! Double rocks! I mean, yes, but yeah. I mean, this is definitely better. Rocks. Oh no. I mean, you can't tell me I'm wrong. Duck, duck. Oh, 100%, but still. I'm not throwing rocks because I agree. Thank you, Paulo. Oh, yeah. Here is some rocks for you. Oh, thank you so much, Lydie. Hello. I feel Mikey laughing with us and I love it. Would have loved this. Yeah. I don't know if it's gonna be able to go through with the tracing paper. Oh, it worked. So... Oh, even better. Last one. Oh yeah, look at this. Pretty chart. And to answer your question, I got a color called Rose PR81 and Claret PR12. Ooh! Those rounded corners really are satisfying. See, aren't they? I love that corner puncher. It's so good. It's really good. I love that it has 3 sizes. You can have like a smaller corner, a medium corner, and a larger corner. Also use it to round, like all the swatches that come with the Roman Schmal set. They have the square corners, and I always round them up. They keep so much better. Like they don't get all dinged and weird and start splitting. Alright, now I need a Sharpie, and I don't have a Sharpie. There. I've never been like, oh, I wish they did an in-between size. Nope, neither. I wonder, perhaps the only one that I might have wanted is a larger one, but yeah, not enough to be bothered with it. So sorry, I have to leave again. My internet makes constant... Oh no! Oh, I hope you get that figured out soon. So this, and thank you so much for stopping by. I really hope you have a nice weekend. Oh, I need... this too. Alright. Let's go. I really have to be careful because right next to me I have this thing that is full of like wet paint that I'm definitely gonna put all over myself at some point. I should probably just be a bit more careful about that. Just do this. And here I have printed the color chart. So it's a very lovely chart. It has all the info on it, which I really appreciate. You have the color name, the series, so you have an idea of the price range, the color number, the pigment, and then all the info like light fastness, staining, granulating, and transparency. You have some companies that make their color charts, looking at you, Winsor & Newton, and they don't provide like the pigment info on the chart. And I just want to smack them upside the head. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with this? This is so bad. Right, first color is Fig Green. It is PY151, PG17. Throw rocks on them? I would if I could. I have a couple of rocks with Winsor & Newton's name on them. One is for the stupid color chart. One is for being so uncreative with their products because they have a good paint range. They have a lot of really good paints, like that granulating yellow. Like they're the only one that offer the granulating yellow on a, how can I say this? Basically, their granulating yellow is the prettiest. So that's that. That's the two so far. No, I have others, but there's at least these two. Then I have a rock also for them discontinuing colors. And I have a rock for not providing the pigment info on their cadmium-free cadmium colors. On Schminke's dot card, there were no pigment info. Oh, that's silly. Also, come on, Schminke, they put the teeny tiniest excuse of a dot on there. I remember testing it out, and some of the dots, you couldn't even, like, see the color properly. And they don't necessarily, like, I was looking at dot cards recently to see if there were some that I was looking for, and they make you pay for those. Like, if it was a free dot card, okay, fine. But dude, I'm paying for this dot card. Can we, lemon yellow permanent PY 184 royal yellow. Yes, the dots are just too tiny. They're minuscule. It's insulting. Because yeah, they're not cheap. They're expensive. And they give you the teeny tiniest amount that you cannot even see what the color is like. Like, okay, don't make the dots like ridiculously generous that you can paint pieces with them. Fine. But give me enough paint so that I can see the color. Winsor & Newton's dot card as well, yeah. The Danielle Smith one, from what I remember, is very uneven. Like, some dots are good, some are weird. It takes experience to make it, seriously. It's so much easier to just make a generous dot. If you end up with a miserly dot, it's because you've made an effort. That's gonna be a really tight. Made it. Medici red. A skill I don't envy. Hey, Otto, you have a substantial level of experience making dot cards. Did you ever got to the mastery level of putting there just barely enough paint? And I know the answer, but it just cracks me up so much to think that the end goal of any dot card would be to put as little paint as possible on it. I find swatching and writing down the pigment info such a peaceful process. I agree. I agree. I'm glad that I've done enough of it that now I've found a way to organize my charts and my swatches in a way that works for me. Sometimes I have the pigment info, sometimes it's separately, sometimes it's on another sheet. Like I recently put together a little, oh, it's very, can I easily stick this? Sorry, I put this together and I don't really need the pigment info. Sorry for these, I just wanted a way to quickly know what is available from which little ceramic dish. So I just put that together and I can sort of remember what the colors are, sort of, but it's like I don't really need to know. But for other things, like for this palette, I want to know what the pigments are because it's not that obvious. It would take so much more skills than I will ever. Yeah, you're super. I remember your dot cards were so generous and nice. Which, you know, was part of the issue with making so many of them. But anyway, I don't want to bring back some stressful memories and stuff. Just get a cocktail stick, dip it once and let it drop. Not even let it drop. You dip it once and you very rapidly stamp it on the paper. And if it leaves a bit of paint, then that's good. POV, you're Ebenezer Scrooge and you get into dot card making. Does anyone know of a simple list of common color names and their pigment numbers? Not like that. Trying to think. Well, like when I usually need a pigment's name, I use Artist Creation, and I look it up there and I look at the name, but it's not a list of just the most common ones. It's like various pages of everything. You mean like the pigment name from a chemical point of view, like not just the color name? Hi. Hold on. Bio Arch Doctor My Wife. Okay, cool. Hello. Hey, Mama Reads. Hello, hello. There's a few lurkers, I guess. Well, hello to you, lurkers. You are welcome here, and you can lurk as long as you want. But you can also unlurk, and we'll be happy to have you. Handprint is really, really cool. It's a bit outdated, perhaps. I don't know if it's been updated recently, but you know, the name of the pigment is not going to change. So in terms of that info, it's good. But I don't think it includes all the more recent releases. I.e. cobalt blue, not... Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, cool. Like, instead of viridian hue, it's phthalocyanine green blue shade. Like that, right? Handprint has not updated since, 2012, dude. What? They don't want to include all these awesome new tints that Daniel Smith has released. I don't get it. It probably still has, like, perhaps not genuine Quin Gold, but all the more recent quinacridone that were discontinued. And cue everyone's tears. I'm so mad about that color I've told you about, Otto. That Pyrrole orange one. Because it looked like such a unique variant of that specific pigment. Like you can find it from other paint makers, but it's not as like deep and red. I'm just so bothered. I don't have any kind of like quinacridone gold genuine is gone, and I don't really like. It's sad. I hate that it's gone, but it's not something that gnaws at me. But that stupid freaking Pyrrole orange, that one really works on my brain. Yeah, it is old for sure. I also use, yeah, Jane Blundell has really good swatches. Like if you want to see a full range of paint in swatches, I always go to her site as well because, I mean, nowadays there's more and more websites that have that info, but what I like about her blog is that on one page you will get the full range. So sometimes when you kind of want to look at a range because you're like, I would like to try some colors of this specific paint range, but I don't know which ones, and the swatches on the website I want to order them from are useless. So I go to her page, and then you can kind of compare at least the colors to one another, even if the colors, I mean, Jane has scanned them, probably edited them a bit, but she's done that for the whole bunch of them, and it's her process on every single one of them. So you can kind of use that as a basis to compare colors between each other. Does that make sense? It was beautiful. It was such a pretty color. Nocturno. That's one color, the one that I'm writing about right now, that Quin Magenta, that I was a bit confused about because on this printed chart, it lists the quinacridone magenta from A.GALLO as PR 202, but on the pan that I have, it's written PR 122. So I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go with the pigment info on the pan because my pans are a bit old. So perhaps she has, or they have changed the pigment for this color since then. But I'm still gonna have, you know. I wish Kimberly Crick didn't have it separated by pigment number. If you click yellows, for instance, it just has a big list of pigments that you click each one to figure out each brand name. I'd rather have a database indexed by color names than see the pigment. Oh, yeah, but the issue with that, though, is that when you buy a paint, usually it's not written the pigment name on it. So I think it's easier to reference with the pigment number because that's the information that's easily available. Quietly backs out of the room. I mean, understandable. As much as your database was helpful, it was also expensive. Butter's pink, beautiful butter's pink. I can see the bottom of my Roman Schmal Queen Gold pen, and I'm getting sad. Oh, dude, perhaps buy a backup now. It's one of my favorite Roman Schmal color. I love it so much. It's it has this richness that I haven't really seen. To me, it's a bit like the color is both rich and soft at the same time, and it doesn't have that kind of acid yellow look that I associate with PY150. If that makes sense. Do I have... oh, no I don't. I only have... this is Core's version, which is also really pretty. But I think this version can sort of demonstrate what I mean by that. This one is a bit more orange than I would go for, but it still exemplifies well. If you compare, I have two swatches here. Quin Gold. Is it Quin Gold? Oh, I forgot to label it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Core's Quin Gold. And you can obviously see the difference, like the ratio of pigments. Even if memory serves, these are the same pigments in both these mixes, the ratio is obviously very different. And I prefer when my quinacridone gold hues lean towards this Core version rather than this version. Does that kind of make sense? So yeah, I feel like the Roman Schmal one is closer to this one. And I really like that. All that to say. Yes, Dr. Otto, maybe you could sell a PDF or Excel list and we could sort it out ourselves. I'm trying to learn the proper name and pigment numbers for, say, a typical 24 pan basic. Well, I mean, you could start from your own set. There are no standards in 24 pan set when it comes to names. Not the name of the colors, but a lot of pigments will be recurring pigments. Example, like PG7. Oops. Pietra Rosa. Isn't it being replaced? What replaced? I think Melissa is trying to find a way to learn the most common colors in 24 color sets from the pigment name point of view, not the color name point of view. There's a reason why people end up learning pigment numbers and forget the color names. Also, have you seen some of these pigment names? One is like isoindolinone in yellow. You're like, I'm sorry, what? And there's two variants of it. You have isoindolinone and then you have isoindolin, and you're like, thank you? Oh man, I'm so in love with Roman Schmal Quin Gold I got. Buy spares! If you guys are in love with the Roman Schmal Quinacridone Gold color 310, buy a spare, because it's gonna be phased out at some point. PO48 is not being made anymore. So it's gonna, you know, run out of stock eventually. Sadly. I really wish it wouldn't, but it's not within my, I can't do anything about it, sadly. I don't know many color names. You mean pigment names or color names? Or pigment numbers? The problem I have is there are so many different names for the same hues, and some companies, yeah. I did a video about that not long ago. have a full pan, but definitely will get a backup. I wish they had it in tube. Yeah, they don't really have tubes at the moment. And like, if you take just Romanschmal, they have 3. I have them here. Come to think of it. But I did compare these, so that's the 3 kind of quinacridone gold dupes that Romanschmal has at the moment. There's one of them that's gonna eventually be unavailable because of the PO48 in the mix. But this is, I think this is the more recent one. It's beautiful, I really love it. But it's definitely a bit more orange. And instead of the PO48 in there, there's a PR102. So that's a synthetic red iron oxide. And then you have the Quin Gold that I'm rambling about, that I feel is the perfect balance to me, because it is kind of soft, but it has this general hue of being a really warm yellow orange. And then you have this one, the Quin Gold hue, which is a bit older, and it's the same pigment as the more recent one, but in a different ratio. So it's more yellow and has more of this, what I would describe as an acidic feeling about it. If that makes sense. Oh, I'm a bit out of frame. Whoop. Melissa, another problem is if you learn a number, it doesn't mean you know the color automatically. They can vary greatly from... Oh yeah, PV19, for example. I don't know the color names, but all of the... Well, that's handy. That's handy. It's written on the tube, so you can kind of figure it out. There's a lot of this stuff that will come from experience, from looking at a lot of swatches or looking at a lot of paint info. Because, yeah, like, PV19 being so many different hues is not something that you'll be able to figure out and learn by heart. The thing you'll be able to figure out and learn by heart is that this company has this specific version of the color, the pigment that you like. You could say that, oh, this brand's quinacridone red is my favorite PV19. But that's as far as you can take it for some of these colors. Same for most of the earth hues. Like all the yellow ochre and burnt sienna and Venetian red, and you know, all of these. Why am I... Raw sienna badia. I don't know. I think it would help me to associate the number. I think your video. Well, in that video, in the resources, the links I posted. I'll see ya later, Otto. Give Jinx a couple of pets for us. Or for me, anyway. Even just a basic 12 mixing set to start. I mean, find a selection of a mixing set that you enjoy and reference those pigment numbers with the names of the pigment on something like Artist Creation or any info online. And you can put together your list, but it's really something that comes with use. And in terms of the basic usefulness of this stuff, it's not all that useful to know the exact name of the pigment because it's not gonna be referenced often on paints. Some companies list the pigment name, and I've seen that a lot on vintage tubes, but nowadays it's mostly the pigment number. This is something that I always forget, but making a color chart is time consuming. I mean, it doesn't have to be. You could, you know, wing it and make it a whole lot faster, but yes, it's relative, so the meanings are irrelevant unless you have a baseline to compare to. So pick one fave brand and memorize those to create your mental comparative. The way mixtures are made by companies with there's so many factors that there's not really any kind of approach to learn this stuff. You kind of just learn it by doing it. Does that make sense? Because you look at colors and, like, not all the brands, but a lot of brands will name their phthalo blue. So after a while, you're like, okay, I've assimilated this knowledge that phthalo blue comes in a red and yellow shade. One is warm, one is cool, and it's a transparent staining color that can be really intense in a mass tone. But it's not something that you kind of learn. You could learn it by heart, but it's not as useful as just, you know, absorbing it progressively through time. Does that make sense? The most annoying is what they do to cerulean. What do they do to cerulean? I get confused when someone says, for example, I'm using bad... Hold on, what? I don't get it. Is it just... is there a typo, or is it really like that? Because if someone is painting and they say something like, I'm using bad 15:3, I mean, what's the word I'm looking for? Not they explain, not they express, but the way they present that information is the problem. It's not the information itself, it's the way they say it. I recently swatched the Senilia card. They have a lot of funny names, a lot of lakes. Do they have that many lakes? They have Rose Dorée Mother Lake, that one I know. Warm or cool, often just seen due to lighting. No, they're seen comparatively one to another and also in mixes. That's how you can figure out warm or cool. Oh, PB. Oh, that was autocorrect. Okay. I'm using PB, so yeah, so PB, that's pigment blue, that one is straightforward. And I never remember which one is which, but the fact that it's 15 tells you it's one of the phthalo blues, either the red shade or the yellow shade. But see, even I don't really remember which is which, just like that, because there's so many variants. Some colors will be listed as simply PB15, then you have PB15:1, you have PB15:3. I've seen 5, I've seen 6, like there's so many declinations. But just knowing that it's a PB, though, so a blue pigment, and 15 is usually phthalo blue, so you know it's a phthalo blue. And then I would look it online and figure out then which one it is precisely. Lakes, matter, hues. Apparently all those terms have distinct meanings. Yeah, obviously. Okay, don't get me started on the meaning of words when it comes to paint, because that's a ramble for another day. In Senelius color names, you find a lot of lakes, but the pigments are the usual light fast pigments. Yeah, I think the names are a sort of callback to the history of paint. A lot of Old Holland colors have lake in the name too. Like they have super lengthy name, like Manganese Blue Lake Extra. Okay, sure, whatever. What does that even mean? That helps so much. So 15 are phthalos. Yeah, phthalo blue, because PB pigment blue. You're good with the PB, PR, PV, all the P. Like the letter part of the pigment number. You're fine with that, right, Melissa? Just to make sure. Warmer for me is closer to the reds. Well, that's it. But it's really it's sometimes kind of difficult to visualize. Yeah, PB29 is ultramarine, systematically. 27 is Prussian blue. You can't expect consistent naming from art. No, definitely not, but at least the pigment code is always the same. Yeah, the letters are easy. Okay, good. That's good. That's I mean, half of the job right there. And like PG7 is always phthalo green blue shade. PG36 is phthalo green yellow shade. PV19 is usually some sort of magenta or purpley color, but that one varies a lot. It's stuff you figure out from looking at colors, really, because like you write down a color name and then you write the pigment info and you go like, oh, this one is also a PV19, but yesterday I've painted with a PV19 and it was such a different color. Huh. So this pigment can be multiple colors. Huh. You know, that kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, this one has so many pigments in it. Not that I mind, it's just, it's gonna be a challenge to fit it in this little space. That's something that there's a couple of video ideas that I would love to do, but I don't really know where to start. One would be on the words and their meanings, and one would be on debunking this multiple pigment paints make mud nonsense. You're giving me my list, thank you. I can, what else? Hold on. So, you know, when you have earth hues, you have, there's often a yellow, a red, and a brown. So the yellow is usually PY42 or 43 for things like yellow ochre. the red is PR 101 or 102 for colors like Venetian red or Indian red, or like stuff like hematite. And then you have PBR6 or PBR7, that's usually burnt sienna. Or, yeah, burnt sienna, burnt umber is often. These depend really on the brand. A lot of brand will use mixes instead, which is something that bothers me personally. Because I'm like, why? But yeah, the kind of a basic starting point of these is that Viridian hues just there. I love Holbein, and they usually are mixtures. Yeah. And also, funnily enough, Holbein has a lot of earth hues that are, okay, quote unquote, the right pigment. I have a chart on the wall. So I'm just going to cap this because it dries kind of fast. Okay, so I'm seeing their raw sienna is a mix. Where is it? It's behind. Yeah, the raw sienna is a mix, but I'm not a big fan of their raw sienna. It has a weird texture, and it's almost the same hue as their yellow ochre, which is a single pigment, and is PY42, so kind of the pigment you expect. Then burnt sienna is PBR7, light red is PR101, Indian red PR101. I'm looking at the other ones. Raw umber is a mix, but their raw umber is a bit weird, just like the raw sienna. Umber itself is PBR7, burnt umber PBR7. Van Dyke brown is a single pigment, and that's it. And I'm really proud of them for that. But yeah, a lot of people will vehiculate the notion that if you have a paint that has multiple pigments in it, it's a bad thing. When it's not the number of pigment in the paint that really makes a difference, it's the characteristics of the pigments in the paint. You could mix a bajillion perfectly transparent staining colors together, and if you follow the basic concepts of color mixing and color theory, when you mix the resulting mixture of that with something else, you should be able to get exactly the color you expect. It's hard to explain, but I really hate this notion that because a paint has so many pigments in it, it's not going to mix well, because it doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. It doesn't follow any kind of rule of painting that I've seen. It's not the number of pigment. It's really not an important factor. What's important is the characteristics of those pigments. Are they staining? Are they granulating? Are they opaque? That's what's gonna affect the mix, not the fact that there's 6 or 1 pigment in the mix. I would like to learn the most common number names, then I'll figure out the weird ones. I don't want to try to commit to memory something that is wrong. I mean, fair. Trying to think of a way, but yeah, I don't know of a website where you can sort of sort out pigments by their occurrence, like a sort of once I had a lesson of using watercolors. First the teacher told us you have to start to paint like you used to write from left to right. I'm happy to see you did not. Really? That's weird. Painting from left to right. Jeez. What I've seen regarding the order, quote unquote, of painting, is it really depends on the medium you're using. If you're using an opaque medium, it's not all that important the way in which you process things, but if you use something transparent like watercolor, you should always try to preserve your whites. So it's easier to start painting from light and go to dark, but there's not one way to do this. It's just whatever you feel more comfortable with and whatever works for you. See, I have a PB15 column 4 here, so some sort of tallow blue, but I don't know which one, and it's not really important to know. I have trouble memorizing things because of... I mean, you could just create... If you don't want to necessarily memorize them, you could create yourself a kind of quick cheat list, or a cheat sheet, where you list like the most common ones, and their pigment name, and then if you feel like it, you could add a couple of like recurring naming within brands. Like if a color is often labeled phthalo green, well, you can write that as extra info, though in this case it's not the most useful extra info because the pigment name is already phthalocyanine green. I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this. Hold on, so what was the thing with cerulean? What are you doing to cerulean? Oh, ECT. What is ECT? If you guys hear weird background noises, that's the neighbor being just a bit loud. Empty space, ultramarine. Because it's often a hue, like yeah, that's true. You could write beside cyanide green, blue shade, PG7, parenthesis, viridian hue. I feel like Under the Brush is interesting for that. That's the site that I used. Oh, I have a video that's ready about it. I can't post yet, but it's a really handy site because you can write like PG7. And it's gonna show you a bunch of swatches of PG7 first, like just PG7. And on the swatches you also have the name of the color, so you can see how many of them are labeled phthalo green, viridian hue, just viridian, even if it's not actually viridian. Oh, I see, okay. You never know the pigment people are going to use different... You never know the pigment people are going to use. Different brands use different ones, and in some brands it's very warm. Others cool, it's all over the place. Well, yes and no, it just depends on the pigment. PG7 is usually fairly consistent, and what is probably more of a factor is the brand's specific binder recipe. But yeah, it's not a perfect science because these colors are not always exactly the same. Maybe some of them in the mix are, but yeah. I keep thinking about stuff I say in videos that are not finished or public yet. Right. Last row, I can do this. Milling process, binders, water quality, even the air can change the color. Yeah, and from one batch of binder to another, like gum arabic, I'm pretty sure they go for the most, like, the lighter gum arabic available, but it still has a bit of a color to it. Roman Schmal product line is very close to the work of an artist. It's a really good line. It's, at this present moment, it's... Oh, I didn't put the name and the... Emergency. I was supposed to leave an empty area and I didn't. Fudge. You know what? It's not really all that bad. I can just move everything. I don't need that specific empty space. I need a couple of empty space throughout. If you kind of look at it, I need an empty space here. I need one here. And I need one here. But I don't need one here, so I can just move everything one spot to the left. Okay. Whew. Whew. Can wipe it off with nail polish remover, or I would have tried with rubbing alcohol. But it's okay. Crisis averted. Chromium oxide. I told myself that if I was to add any more colors in here, I would add them in this row here, that I have a lot of space left. Unless they particularly fit, like at the end of this one here. But like I might put, if I eventually get a black, like black could go there. It would fit in there. Next to Vivianite, which is really like gray-blue, so that's fine. But if I get any kind of color that would go in between these, I think I'm just going to put them here. It's just going to be easier. Okay, so Green Earth Warm, PG 23. Then I have Green Earth Cool. Which I think is also PG 23. This looks so scary. It's the strength of learning the pigment and names, at least for the funky colors, because they vary. Viridian, Prussian, Mauve, Cerulean, all the blue-greens. I accidentally buy the same color so often. Oh, tell me about I bought so many phthalo green blue shade. I would see someone like show their colors in their palette, and I would see the swatch and I would be like, oh, this is a really interesting kind of minty blue green color that looks transparent and it's nice, and it's basically just a diluted swatch of PG7. But I mean, I don't know that. And the color is from Schminke, and it's named Helio Green whatever something or other. And you're like, oh, cool. And then you kind of prepare your swatch sheet when you get it, and you put down the pigment info, and you're like, oh, wait, why does that sound familiar? And you're like, oh, it's because it's the third one that I have. Okay, never gonna miss out on PG7. Got it. and sometimes it's tricky. If you take a range like a Daniel Smith or any range, any paint range that has over 100 colors, there's duplicates. Like if you look at Daniel Smith, I'm fairly confident they have, well, I know their manganese blue hue is PB15, and if you swatch it and you compare it with their two phthalo blue red shade and yellow shade or green shade, they're technically all the same pigment, basic pigment, but there's still variations in the color of the paint. And also their manganese blue hue uses optical brighteners to make the color more like manganese blue, but it's not listed on the label. Okay, last one. Last one is easy. Vivianite, and it doesn't really have a pigment because it is genuine Vivianite. There we go. Okay, that's one thing. You only need to know a website where you can look up the colors and their pigments. Yep, and there's quite a few now. There's Artist Creation, even if the presentation of Artist Creation is a bit old school. It's I'm so sorry. It's a really good resource. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by, Prue. I'm about to end it anyway, so you won't be missing all that much. But thank you so much for stopping by. Give the Bunners a couple of pets. And yeah, really happy to see you. Manganese blue from the brand that shan't be named is a weird fluorescent color. It's a name that starts with a D. Followed by Daniel Smith. Sorry. I don't mind that it's fluorescent, but they don't say it. They don't mention that it has optical brighteners, and that optical brighteners are usually one of the things that fades away somewhat quickly. I have an issue when a brand acts all like important about their paints, but they don't. Daniel Smith did kill me. Sorry, it's really stupid. Oh, okay. My problem with Daniel Smith is not the paints, it's not the products themselves, it's the way it is presented to the public. Like this kind of weird appeal to elitism that a lot of their users have. And it's icky. It's so icky. That yellow green is, it is pretty. It's fig green. It's really, really nice. Really, really, really nice. But yeah, like I feel like people supporting that brand often act really high and mighty, and then the brand comes up with a bunch of colors that are, you know, basic pigments mixed in with white, that have been available from other brands for a really long time, and you're like, yeah, okay. But then you turn around and go like, people are copying our unique paint recipes. And then you make Jane's Grey, and no issue with Jane Bundle, no problem, but she didn't invent mixing ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, you know. Deceiving your clients is never good. It's never good, and also, what's the word I'm looking for? It's being so prissy towards newcomers or beginners, or like, if it's not someone you know or that's on your radar, you're gonna be a bit holier than thou, you know, and it's uncalled for. The color descriptions of Daniel Smith colors are so funny in the nonsense. Oh, they're trippy. They're completely trippy. And full of nonsense. Like, dude. Another fig reference. Damn, now I want to eat figs. I don't like figs. I feel like I'm eating sand. Like, the taste is fine, but the texture is so weird. Oh, that was really more soft than I expected. Eep. The Mean Girls of Watercolor. I like that. Oh, I like that. There's not a lot of watercolor drama within the watercolor world. It's not a very dramatic... like, the potential is not really there. I'm trying to make gradients with these, but my paints have softened enough that I always end up picking too much paint, and then I can't do a proper gradient. So I'm gonna have to settle with, you know, full my stone, I guess. I have heard so much good about Daniel Smith. I have a few colors of them, mostly colors not offered by other brands, but not intending on restocking. The paints are good. The paints are really good. I love them, they're crunchy. Yeah, but it feels like eating... I'm not a big fan of fresh raspberry for the same reason. All the seeds are weird. But the taste of raspberry is heavenly. The seeds are weird. I have mostly earth colors from Daniel Smith, but I always look for other brands first. They're expensive here too. Like, I'm in Canada, and the price of a Series 1 in the Daniel Smith range is so prohibitive. Is so prohibitive. I'm like, what? Titanium white for $20? How about no? Like, have you lost your marble? What? The potential is always there when people with money and good looks can get a cheap halo light. I don't know, it's just unnerving. Like, I remember like, when the Primatech kerfuffle happened, there used to be a lot of live streams from Daniel Smith, and Otto and I would often hang out in them because they would show the new colors, and it was still watercolor stuff. But it was weird because if something was said that wasn't true, and we both knew it wasn't true, like, just say a mistake about a pigment or something, and if we would bring it up, we would be like dismissed right away. And it's just like, yeah, but it's still true. What I'm saying is still factual, like, what's happening. Okay, sure, all right, nice, you know. Man, this color is so freaking nice. It's beautiful. If it wasn't so apologetic about their deceptions, that's it. it would have been so much more of a good idea to own up to it instead of doubling down with the thing that makes no sense, sorry, and has been proven to not be completely factual. And I don't know if Palo is still around, but yeah, the stuff with the mine of Mayan, what do they call it? Mayan Indigo, Mayan Blue, and the phthalo green mines, like those jokes write themselves. And if you don't get the context, phthalo green is not found in a mine, and the Mayan Blue, it's not something you would get from a mine either. It's not a rock pigment per se. And we were trying to understand, like we were asking questions to understand more about the paints that we all love to use. And the person trying to answer our question didn't have the information. So we just double down on the thing that we know is not true, and it's like, okay, well, if you want to play it that way, I'm not gonna buy your paints, and I'm not gonna recommend your paints really if I can avoid it. And then on the other hand, you have companies like M. Graham and Roman Schmal, where the people behind the company are amazingly nice. They're so nice. It's night and day. They're so kind, so passionate. You can tell that they love paint. They love working with paint, and it's just, the vibe is pristine. I have so many paint companies that are closer and cheaper. Yeah, I mean, that's always the key element. Like, whatever is affordable to you is probably the one you should go with. The doubling down was so ugly. It was so ugly. It was so disrespectful. You could have easily just said, oh, my bad. Yeah, or just explain it. Or, like, it felt like there was no attempt at understanding what a bunch of people were asking about. Mayan Blue is man-made, and they were trying to gaslight people about all that. Yeah, the thing with the dye precipitated onto clay, there was a whole, like, was it Cascade Green? That he was trying to explain why it's this effect of two colors. And he was, like, trying to explain it because it was of precipitation, and a lot of people knowledgeable about that stuff were like, that's not really how that works. Okay. It was just boggling. When I used to work retail, I would tell my employees never to pretend when they didn't know. Yeah, you're better off saying, I'm sorry, I don't know. People are not going to go back to that shop if they get recommended something, like, from someone that didn't know what they were talking about. Companies nowadays hire CEOs. Big companies nowadays hire CEOs that don't know. They don't usually hire them. I think that the CEO kind of buy into the company, and then you're stuck with them. Sorry. Sennelier has a red that consists of the same pigment. I mean, if you want to know, check out underthebrush.com, all in one word, under the brush, and in the search field you write PR209 or PR207, and it's gonna list a bunch of colors that also have this pigment. You can do that with Sun colors, you can do that with artist pigments. think PR29 from Rummage Mall is... Oh, Cherry Quinacridone. I think. What about your cat picture? Will you finish it today? Perhaps, but not in the stream. I can show you what it looks like for now. It's still a bit wet. I can tell because if I put the back of my hand on the sheet, it's still kind of cold. Even if it doesn't feel wet to the touch, the fact that it's a bit cold tells me that it's still not fully dry. But that's how it looks at the moment. You can see that my mixes have settled into some really interesting granulation and texture. And I will definitely build upon that with the other colors from this palette. But so far it looks like something I can work with. The explanations were nonsensical, Paolo. It was so annoying to be talked to as if I don't know anything by someone who actually doesn't fully grasp what he's talking about. That's the worst feeling ever. It's so unpleasant. Oh. Game companies have been falling into the same problems. Sega just selling games. Well, the thing in the gaming industry to some extent is that something will be popular and then it feels like all the higher-ups and the other companies, all they kind of want to do is do the same thing as the thing that was popular, but there's already a thing like that. So if you do exactly the same thing, it's not going to work out well because it already exists. You know, just give the stage to the people who know and can talk about things. Not everything is about you. Oh, no, Amy, not you. Just talking about people who try to explain stuff out of their... Oh, hold on, that was not Amy. Yeah, hold on, I'm confused. The confusion is real. No, you're confused too, Paulo. Everyone's confused. Who else is confused? Let's all be confused. I'm swatching my A.GALLO paints. I've shuffled them around. They were initially in my palette in a very sort of random assortment. That kind of makes sense when you know why it's like that, but doesn't make sense when you just look at it. So this was a set that they sent me. This was another little set that they sent me. And then these are just extra colors that were added progressively through time. But if you look at this as a whole, it's annoying. Like I feel like I can't find the color I want because things are not in order. Even if I know the color is there, I'm like, where's this specific color? And even if my eyes go over it a bunch of times, it's like I don't see it. So that's why I've reorganized things a bit. And now I'm redoing the swatch. Also, I'm doing the swatch on Arche cold press, and it's a bit old, so it has this white dot issue, but I feel it gives a better look at the colors than this that is probably cellulose paper. Like the alizarin crimson hue kind of looks terrible on this paper, and if you look at it here, it kind of looks better in my opinion. 8 a.m. in the morning. Oh, you're on the other side of the planet. Yeah. I think Palu was referring to, you know, the person we're rambling about. The ones that are like, oh, I know everything because I decided that I've understood, and I'm not gonna bring in someone with actual knowledge of the thing, because and the audio was awful and the swatches were sorry. Oh, I like that these two colors are close by. The green, the fig green, and this ultramarine violet. They kind of look really nice together, I feel like. No coffee for me. Oh, but coffee. This one is so goopy and soft. What is it? Oh, it's nocturnal. Oh, interesting. Ooh. Ooh. Pretty. Americans have a hard time saying, I don't know. Well, some of them sure do. Let's just put it that way. Piggy and Hiding made a short post today regarding some of her Roman smaller earth, so I'll have to check that out. It could depend on her climate, too. Pride is hard to swallow. You know what's the best way not to have an issue with that situation? Never have any pride to begin with. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. I am an American and appreciate the measured response. I mean, I'm technically an American as well, in the sense that I live in North America. And yeah, we're definitely influenced by our neighbors to the south. So but yeah, if just keeping to the watercolor world, you have some people that are really struggling with saying I don't know or stuff like that, and you have other people that don't have any issue with it. So it's a mixed bag. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of very loud people that will proclaim loudly what they think they know. And since they're being so loud about it, when you know they're not right, it just doesn't feel good. Pretty sure everyone in here has had the experience of trying to, you know, you go at it in the spirit of just helping a person because they say something that isn't quite accurate, and when you bring it up, they bite your head off, and you're like, oh, okay, so you're the kind of person that we go and we leave. Okay, cool, noted, sorry. Like, I appreciate being corrected if I say something that's not right, but that's not everyone, apparently, obviously. I thought maybe the honey crystallized. Crystallized honey is still pliable. It never gets fully hard, you know. If I think American, I think of people from the US. Yeah, of course, because they decided to call themselves the United States of America. But if you think about it, Canada is also in America. I am technically an American, just not a United State of American. Okay, so we're past the 2 hours mark from my stream. That's the moment when my brain decides to take a holiday. Yeah, I think we're still part of the Commonwealth, which is silly. Like, we have the Queen on our currency and our stamps, and I'm like, yeah, really? Well, now it's the King. Oh, I really should have switched these two around. Oh well. No biggie. It's still kind of, you know, logically consistent throughout this row. of colors. I love these colors. This is Pietra Rosa. It's like a more pink, less muted Potter's pink. Maybe she got a bad batch. I would contact Roman, as he's the nicest person around and for sure would love to know. Yeah, I would definitely inquire about it. I would reach out and say, hey, I've ran into this issue. Is this something you've heard from other people as well? Or do you think that's something that could be a consequence of where I live or something like that? Hers became super dry. I have some of my, that's a pigment thing. Not all pigments will behave the same way. Even if the binder is exactly the same, the pigments are not all the same. So some will become a lot drier, and it's just the nature of the beast. It happens with every single brand, like Winsor Newton, Daniel Smith. If you put French ultramarine in a palette and you let it dry, it's gonna crack and fall off. That's because of the nature of that specific ultramarine color. If you do the same with Italian burnt sienna, the same gonna happen. But then if you look at the paints from Holbein, I don't think I've ever had a Holbein paint get crispy and fall off a palette. They behave a whole lot better in palettes. And that's in part because of their formula too. So it's hard. Our dollars still have the queen, but yeah, same. I mean, exactly the same. I'm from Quebec. I extra don't care about the the kings and queens and whatnot. Like extra don't care. You know what we did to our kings and queens? We made them a foot shorter. Yeah, about a foot. There were a few people in the comments that had something similar. I will definitely look it up. M. Graham is honey always sticky. Sennelier, if you get Sennelier from tubes and you pour it into a palette, chances are it's going to stay quite sticky. Rosa Galleria also quite sticky. White Knights paints, a lot of them are sticky. So it really depends. M. Graham oozes all over the lid when upside down. Yeah, it depends on the M. Graham though. Like your ultramarine from M. Graham is probably not going to be that runny. But I think Cobalt Teal was really, really runny. But the Mineral Violet dried up like a rock. Like the Cobalt Violet. I still have one somewhere that is rock hard that I plan on turning into a Christmas tree ornament eventually. My Schmincke Phthalo decided it wanted out of its pen. Yeah, that's... true. So it's a double factor. It's the particular recipe and also the pigment and also the weather and you know. I've had, okay, so remember that M. Graham color, the Cobalt Violet that dries like a rock. It only does so if it's in the tube. I had some of that paint that I had poured when I first got the tube and the paint was still soft, and I put that in a palette, and the palette and the tube paint were exactly the same age, but the tube paint was completely solid and the palette paint was perfectly fine. So like, what is it? Is it because it reacts to the tube? Is it because it's still moist that something happens? Like, there are factors that I for sure don't know, but that could possibly explain why all this weird stuff is happening. I've poured some old Holland colors in pans and the red has been drying for 4 weeks now, so hopefully yeah. I mean, hopefully, but I don't know. It's a weird aluminum. Possibly. I know that once upon a time, Daniel Smith had a malachite color. Not sure how you say that rock's name, but it's this light green rock. And it's a paint that's really pretty, and I love it. I know Roman Schmal has it in pans. It's a paint that you cannot keep in a tube. It reacts weirdly with the metal of the tube and the moisture, and it corrodes everything. It was super messed up. It got all lumpy and weird and unusable. And it was expensive too, but back then they were really nice about it. So yeah, some paints are just problematic. Oh, I had a droplet on that for sure. I put my pans in the oven to dry on low. That's dedication. I would probably never. I just put the paints in the tray over there and forget about them. That's my way of drying pans. Pyrite, probably something with copper. Yeah, malachite has copper in it, I think. Oxidation, yeah, it was oxidized to crumbly and lumpy and weird. I feel personally that's my take on this stuff is there are so many variables in paint that I don't really have any control on, that it makes me not want to tinker too much with the paints, because they've already gone through a process of, you know, like many iterations and figuring out the best formula and all that stuff. So I'm never comfortable adding anything to a paint, a commercial paint. There are so many variables we'll maybe never be able to figure out yet. There's an element too that I haven't seen a lot of mention of it, but it's kind of relevant, is, you know, if it gets cold, what if the paint has frozen in transit? I don't think that's good for the paint to freeze, so how would that affect everything? If it would affect it. You know, that kind of stuff. It's fully possible, Liddy, that the paint never fully dries. There are a lot of paints that stay tacky, but you can use them regardless. That's not an issue. The only thing you gotta be careful about is not to put it upside down, because some paints that stay tacky are soft enough that they will, like, gravity will win over them and they'll fall down and make a mess. But yeah. I'll try the fridge trick though. Would be great to get it to be a bit drier than they are now. I mean, I hope it pans out for you. Pun was not intended, but it's I take full responsibility for the terrible pun. Sorry. My DS paints took a couple of days to dry, but nevertheless, that's not for weeks. Yeah. It really depends on how thick you fill the pans to. So punny. Haha, so very punny. Alright, I'm gonna finish these 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna end the stream because my brain is rubbish, as you can probably tell. I'm a very hermit, introverted person, so 2 hours of chatting is you know, for me that's substantial. My Once in a Leap paint never fully dried. Oh, I've had those too. I'm pretty sure my Rosa Gallery paints somewhere are still just super sticky. Like if you put your finger in it and you pull it, you're gonna leave with paints. I've had M. Graham paints that were so tacky still. Their phthalo turquoise is a beautiful color, but it is the most staining color I've ever seen. It is a mix of 2 excessively staining colors to begin with, and then it stays a bit soft. So if you have the misfortune of just touching it and not noticing, you're gonna put phthalo turquoise everywhere. Everything's gonna be phthalo turquoise forever. It's a mix of a really strong phthalo blue and a really strong phthalo green. So what you get is a really, really, really strong, beautiful deep aqua color. Oh, that's a beautiful. Which one is that? That's Verdaccio. You know what? This is the color that in French we call the Caturday. And what it means is basically geese poop. Because geese poop is the color of geese poop, and you don't really have a lot of things that are the same color as geese poop. So the French were like, you know what? We're just gonna call it what it is. This is Caturday. And my issue had issues drawing cores. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that didn't help Lyra. Same for me, Rosa. Well, the thing is I got the Rosa pans. I didn't get tubes, so I don't know if that's a factor. But the, you know that Corboys, that beautiful color called Corboys. Cobalt turquoise. Thank you so much. It's so soft. I have to be extra careful when I use my Rosa paints, because if I wet them too much, they become so soft. I can literally scoop out paint like geese poop. It is geese poopy, isn't it? Yeah, they draw environment water like crazy. Huh. This one is, oh, it's French ochre Sahara. I was not expecting. See? I'm finished. I was not expecting this one to be a kind of a yellow ochre color. It's very greenish. It's super interesting. All right. Well, I'm gonna finish this because, of course, I need the full swatch, but I'm gonna finish this in a half hour or something. I'm gonna take a break. I've gone 30 minutes, you know, lengthier. Yeah. I don't know if my Rosa Gallery palette with pans is about 5 years old. I never had issues. May have that depend. I mean, I don't consider it a real issue. I just consider it something to keep in mind when working with those particular paints here. Like, I wouldn't keep this palette upside down for a long time, just to be safe, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'll finish this. I'll try to finish my painting too. It's gonna be much easier once I have a good swatch chart to reference. And if you're not already a member of our Discord, we have a Discord server for all sorts of arts and paint and whatever else talk. I try to keep it mostly about painting and paints and stuff, and also pets. I love the animal channel with all the animal pictures. Everyone has such cute pets. And it's fun. But yeah, if you want to join up. The link is in the description. It's free. You just gotta follow the setting up process and hop on there, and yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great weekend. I should be able to do a stream next week, same time, same place, same everything. Well, not the same topic, but you know. And yeah, have a great weekend. Bye bye.